Welcome back to the Nullified Take. Well, I've got the TNT takes for you on Australian Survivor, Blood vs. Water, episode 17. Before we get into the top 5 talking points for this episode, I would once again like to thank everybody that keeps supporting this channel, that likes and comments on it. I really appreciate it. We've just reached 400 subscribers, which is a massive milestone. We're now closing in on that 500 subscribers, which I've been looking forward to, because as soon as we get there, I am going to make that Australian Survivor buff available as a giveaway to somebody that's been commenting and listening to the show this whole season, and we'll make it fair, so even for those that subscribe quite late on, they'll be able to take part in that competition as well. I've also got my eyes set on the next target, which is to get to 1,000 subscribers, and when we get to 1,000 subscribers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make available the 5 first merge buffs to one person of Survivor CBS, which I know is quite rare to find, so I'm a bit crazy giving all those buffs away, but I really enjoy growing this community, and hopefully we can continue to do giveaways as we grow this channel even further. I also, before we get into the top 5 takeaways, I also want to make available the score that we've got for all these players currently. So this is myself and Jake and whoever the guests have been. We've been scoring people the whole season, and at the moment, as you can see, we've got Mark still in the lead, but if you look back at last week, he's actually lost quite a lot of the lead that he had against Sam coming into this one. So Sam has caught up quite a bit. Josh is still in 3rd place, but Geordie is starting to creep up on his score as well. And that's based off the performance of him winning some immunities, key immunities last week, and trying to put up a fight, obviously having that underdog spirit. So that's where the points are currently sitting. Also, before we get into the top 5, I want to put up a message from Dino Paulo, who has been the guest for us this week on Survivor 42 episode 1 recap that we had, and I thought he had one segment towards the end of that podcast where he spoke to fans that I thought would be really good to share at this point. I know that Sam copped a lot of flack last week for the move that she pulled within the game, and I thought that this is a great reminder for everybody watching this show that these people that go out there and play this game, they are people. So have a look at that now.
But for me, in terms of awareness, it's just a reminder, like, be kind. I know one of the things that's amazing about Survivor is the speculation, the opinions, the you can do this, you should do this, and that difference of opinions and difference of strategies and being critical, that's okay. But you can do that and still be kind and not attack players personally, and have a bit of empathy. These are real human beings going through like a really real experience. That's hard and tough for our entertainment. So speculate, share your opinions, fight amongst yourselves. That's amazing. Let's do that. We'll all join in, but just be kind and treat the players with the dignity and respect that they deserve. Because if you're on there one day, and a lot of people have ambitions of being on there one day, you're going to hope for that same dignity and respect to be shown to you. So
I think that's such
closing thoughts.
I think it's such a valuable message. Play the edit, not the person behind it. Okay. So now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's get into point number 1. Geordie goes out swinging this episode. He's on the outs. He knows that everybody has turned against him and that he does not have anybody trusting him when he says that Sam's got the idol, but he's going to still try this whole episode to talk to every single person here, and he really, really makes Sam nervous. Sam gets so paranoid throughout this episode, and it really reminded me of the episode in the beginning of the season where Sandra spoke to, I believe, someone else in her tribe, and she said that you will see who the people are that get paranoid later in the game, and those are the ones that you can easily go against because you know where they're sitting. You can read them based on that paranoia. And when that episode aired, very early on, there was some foreshadowing that happened that showed Sam being quite paranoid, looking left, looking right, and I thought it was funny to see that is sort of played out and that the editors have played a little bit of a game with us here. Sam being quite nervous throughout this episode, but Geordie goes out swinging. He does win yet again another reward challenge. He wins the Isuzu SUV, which he's always wanted, and I thought to myself, Isuzu, they scored gold here. Obviously a car enthusiast wins this challenge and talks about how much he loves this vehicle and does a little bit of a tour of it as well. The key thing here is that Geordie gets an opportunity to choose some people to go on this reward with him. He ends up choosing people that he thinks he can work with, which is Michelle, Dave, and Jordan. Funny enough, all members of the opposite tribe of his when he first started the game, and he starts working on them, and again saying, listen, she's got the idol, Jordan doesn't believe it, and the whole reason he doesn't believe it is because he thinks Jesse is a higher capable player than that, and that he wouldn't have given his idol away, which I think everybody was shocked, because I actually think Jesse's a great player as well. So that makes it unbelievable to Jordan. And I think also Jordan, knowing that Geordie has come for his cousin Josh not that long ago, has really closed that door for him, and he's not open to listening to Geordie at this point, which is going to be a massive downfall for him in this game. But, Geordie goes ahead, he pitches, he gets Michelle and Dave to kind of believe a little bit of what he's saying. So he does make some inroads there, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out if Geordie does get an opportunity to play with them again in the future. Number 2, Josh gives away the game to Sam and Mark at Tribal Council. So Geordie does all this hard work throughout the whole episode to create paranoia there for Sam, to the point where she doesn't know if she can trust the people around her. She's not in conversation. So obviously, having been voted out in this game before, she knows what it feels like when it's her time to go. And because of that, she goes into this Tribal Council with a lot of doubt in regards to if people are telling her the truth or not. But Josh, the guy has got definitely all of the respect of his fellow tribe mates. He's the one that Geordie knows he needs to turn around to be able to get the vote against Sam or Mark, because whatever Josh decides, that's what the rest of the people are going to do. And that's why I've been saying I think Josh has played a much bigger game than what the edit has given him credit for at this point. But I don't think Josh has got a strategic mindset. And again, this is just based on the edit that I'm seeing, based on the fact that, again, he gives away the game to Sam and Mark here, where he says, I'm going to trust the people that I've trusted from the start, which basically means there's no upside for him. What he really should have done is make Mark and Josh a little bit paranoid so that they could still play the idol. And you don't even have to target them specifically in your speech, but just give a non-answer, keep them paranoid. But by Josh saying, don't worry about it, I'm going to stick with you guys, he does not even flush one of the two idols at this stage, which to me is absolutely crazy to think that both Mark and Sam gets past this first vote with both their idols intact, when everybody kind of knows at this stage that they have an idol, or at least it's common knowledge that Mark's got an idol, and they're not even going to try and flush one of these idols before they go to the final 4 or final 6 with them, which to me is absolutely crazy to think. All right, so number 3, 2 votes instead of 1. So they vote out Geordie, pretty straightforward. We all saw it coming for a long, long time that nobody wants to work with Geordie, but they then get shocked and they find out that there is going to be another vote off straight after that. And everybody's shocked. Michelle does the right thing. She tries to vote for Mark. I think there was 2 votes on Mark, which would be interesting to see who those 2 people were. I'm doing this straight after watching the episode, so I haven't had time to go and have a look to see who actually voted for Mark, but they try to get him to flush his idol, but ultimately KJ is going to get voted out in this place. And I do have to say that KJ, I feel like she's been fighting a losing case for such a long time this game. She hasn't really had anybody that's worked with her. The edit hasn't really shown us what she's been thinking or what a long-term game plan was here. It looked like she was maybe one of the few people that were open to working with Geordie, but it's because I think she knew she was that far in the outs. And her strategy to be close to the boys and to be the girl amongst the boys, that got replaced as soon as Sam came in. Sam replaced her in that alliance, and she really had nowhere to go. But hats off to KJ for getting to this point. She's on purgatory as well, but I've got very low hopes for her to get back into the game. While we're talking about purgatory, I kind of want to also segue into, that we see a little bit of Shay in the beginning of this episode struggling on purgatory, just a massive spirit that she has, and getting all of those branches into her camp, building a shelter, and it just shows you that Shay is not ready to give up in this game as well. So with the amount of fire under the belly of someone like a Shay and a Geordie, it's going to be between one of those two who's going to make it back in the game, and it is going to be interesting to see who prevails, because they both are challenge beasts in their own right. So it's going to be a great showdown. But I think Shay coming back in, for me, is the boring option. I feel like she's got less of a strategic mindset, and I don't know if she can shake things up at all if she gets back in. I would much rather see Geordie come back at this stage. Okay, so number 4. Mark's got some nerves of steel, and we spoke about that with Harry last week in the podcast, where we said that Mark and Sam together, they kind of complement each other pretty well in this game, and together they make the perfect player, because Sam's someone that's always got that paranoia. She always thinks it's going to be her on the vote, and she's got a certain amount of urgency in her gameplay, where Mark seems to be someone that's a lot more relaxed. There would be a bomb dropping next to him, or people pointing out that he's got an idol, and he actually does not act on that. And again here, when the second vote happens, he calms Sam down, saying, "We don't need to play it." And they both get out of this tribal council with idols still in their pocket. So they're in the best position now to blindside these people that don't believe they've got two idols, or they're unsure if they've got two idols. So they're in the best position to do that. And by the way, great gameplay by both Mark and Sam here to say, we don't know what he's talking about. He's trying to throw bombs. We don't have a second idol. At this point, like Mark said, they're that deep into it that they've just got to deny. And I kind of feel at this stage, Sam's getting a very big edit. She's getting a lot of the screen time and explaining to us what's going on from a strategical standpoint, and that people might come for them. But I feel like Sam, if she gets to the end, she's not going to win this game. And that is going to be point number 5. I feel like Sam is not going to have the respect of the jury if she gets there, especially when the full story comes out that she actually did steal Jesse's idol. This jury to me seems like they're going to vote for someone that they really enjoy, and that they like as a person. And remember, every jury, every season, they make the rules of who they vote for. And I really think that her dogging him in that way is going to be something that is going to be seen as a really bad thing when she gets to the end, and it's going to mean that she's not going to get the votes. So if she sits next to Mark gets it just based off respect and being a humble and straightforward guy. He's going to be the lesser of the two evils if he makes it there with her. But I also think that Sam is the more likely one to get taken out at this point of the game. She's had a massive edit this season. She's a big character, plays a very solid game here, and deserves all the credit for making one of the biggest moves. But I'm even more so convinced that the move that she made, there's more downside to it than upside from a social standpoint and how people are going to perceive her. I mean, Josh to me seems like a very old school Survivor player that talks about loyalty and trust and all those kind of things. And I think that because he's got such a big voice when he gets to the jury, he's still going to have a lot of clout when it comes to that jury to decide who's going to win this game. And that for that reason, I still think Sam is the fallen angel edit. She gets a massive edit this season, but I don't think she wins this season. And I do think Mark, like I said from the start of the season, is still the person that I think is going to get to the end and win this game. Josh is going to get found out. He's too honest, too upfront about his information. The gameplay that he has currently would have worked well in old school Survivor over in the US in the first 10 seasons, maybe even the first 15 seasons. I don't think it's going to get him the win here. Those are my 5 takeaways for this episode. Apologies for it being a little bit later than usual. I had a massive week uploading so much videos and content and interview last week on my channel that I crashed really early last night, but got up really early today to do this video for you guys. So I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you agree and disagree with, and talk to you guys later.